Care less, think less, control more. Stoicism. Have you ever noticed how the people who seem the calmest are often the ones who care the least about things they cannot control? Not because they are cold, not because they don't feel emotions, but because they understand a dangerous truth. The more emotionally attached you become to everything around you, the weaker your mind becomes. Modern life teaches you to react to everything, every opinion, every message, every rejection, every delay, every criticism. Your mind becomes crowded, heavy, exhausted, and slowly, you lose control over yourself. Stoic philosophers warned about this thousands of years ago. They believed that peace begins the moment you stop giving unnecessary importance to things that do not deserve your emotional energy. Because the truth is, most people suffer more from overthinking than from reality itself. A single comment ruins their whole day. A delayed reply creates anxiety. One mistake becomes a week of self-hate. One rejection becomes proof that they are worthless. But Stoicism teaches something different. It teaches, care less, think less, control more. Not less intelligence, not less ambition, less emotional chaos. The Stoics understood that your mind is like a garden. Whatever you water, grows. If you constantly water fear, fear grows. If you constantly water anger, anger grows. If you constantly water overthinking, your entire life becomes mental noise. And this is why Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Read that again. You have power over your mind, not over people, not over outcomes, not over opinions, not over the future. Most suffering begins when you try controlling what was never yours to control. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack every single day. Inside it are people's expectations, old regrets, future fears, embarrassing memories, imaginary arguments, and endless what ifs. Eventually, your mind collapses under the weight. Now imagine removing everything unnecessary from that backpack. Suddenly you breathe easier. That is Stoicism. Not adding more to your life, removing what destroys your peace. The Stoics believed that emotional freedom begins when you stop reacting automatically, because reactions are easy. Control is rare. Anyone can panic. Anyone can scream. Anyone can overthink. But remaining calm while the world becomes chaotic, that is power. And the strongest people are often the quietest. They don't waste energy explaining themselves to everyone. They don't chase validation. They don't beg to be understood. Because they know, the less you seek approval, the more control you gain over your emotions. Think about how much of your stress comes from wanting people to understand you, wanting respect, wanting attention, wanting appreciation. But people are busy fighting their own battles. Most are too distracted to think about you as much as you think. And strangely, this is freeing, because once you accept that not everyone will understand you, you stop performing for the world. You become calmer. Stoicism teaches that peace comes when your happiness no longer depends on external reactions. This is why some people remain calm even after failure, while others collapse over small inconveniences. The difference is not circumstances. The difference is emotional discipline. One person says, "Why is this happening to me?" The Stoic says, "This is part of life." One person fights reality. The Stoic adapts to it. And adaptation is one of the greatest forms of intelligence. Look at nature. The strongest tree is not always the hardest. It is often the one flexible enough to survive the storm. The same is true for the human mind. Rigid minds break easily. Calm minds survive. This is why Stoics practiced emotional detachment. Not because they didn't care about life, but because they refused to let temporary events control their inner peace. Think about how many things once felt life-ending, but today mean nothing. Embarrassing moments, old heartbreaks, arguments, failures. At the time they felt permanent, but they passed. Everything passes. Pain passes. Success passes. People pass. Feelings pass. And once you truly understand this, you stop panicking over temporary discomfort. You become emotionally lighter. Most overthinking happens because people try to mentally solve the entire future. But the future does not exist yet. The Stoics focused on the present moment because it is the only place where action is possible. Overthinking creates imaginary suffering. Action creates progress. And often the mind becomes clearer the moment you stop feeding it endless thoughts. There is a dangerous habit that destroys millions of minds every day. Thinking too much about things you cannot change. Replay the conversation. Replay the mistake. Replay the rejection. Replay the failure. Again, 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 as if pain becomes useful through repetition. But it doesn't. Overthinking is not wisdom. Most of the time, it is fear disguised as thinking. The Stoics believed clarity comes from simplicity. Simplify your thoughts. Simplify your reactions. Simplify your desires. And your mind becomes stronger. Modern people consume endless noise. News, drama, arguments, comparison, negativity. Their minds never rest. But silence is powerful. Some of the strongest people learn to disconnect from unnecessary mental stimulation, because every piece of information enters your emotional system. And if you consume chaos constantly, you eventually become chaotic internally. This is why Stoicism values stillness. A calm mind sees clearly. An emotional mind sees danger everywhere. Think about a muddy lake. When constantly disturbed, the water stays cloudy. But when left still, everything settles naturally. Your mind works the same way. Sometimes clarity does not come from thinking more. It comes from finally becoming still. One of the greatest Stoic lessons is this: not everything deserves your reaction. Someone insults you. You do not need to respond. Someone doubts you. You do not need to prove yourself. Someone misunderstands you. You do not need to chase their approval. Every reaction costs energy, and emotionally intelligent people protect their energy carefully. Weak minds react instantly. Strong minds observe first. This is why emotional control feels almost supernatural today, because most people are ruled by impulse. They speak immediately, get angry immediately, judge immediately, panic immediately. But Stoicism teaches the power of pause, that tiny moment between emotion and reaction. That pause can change your entire life. A man who controls his impulses controls his future. And often the greatest victories are invisible. Walking away from an unnecessary argument, staying silent when angry, remaining calm under pressure, refusing revenge. These moments may look small, but internally they build enormous strength. The Stoics believed true power is self-mastery, not controlling others, controlling yourself. Because if another person can ruin your peace instantly, they control you. If a comment destroys your confidence, you are emotionally dependent on external things. Freedom begins when your emotions stop being controlled by every outside event. This does not mean becoming emotionless. It means becoming emotionally disciplined. There is a huge difference. Stoicism is not about suppressing feelings. It is about refusing to become a slave to them. Feel anger, but don't let anger control your actions. Feel sadness, but don't build your identity around pain. Feel fear, but continue moving forward anyway. Courage is not absence of fear. It is action despite fear. And many people wait to feel confident before taking action. But confidence often comes after action, not before it. The Stoics understood something modern society forgets. Comfort can destroy strength. A person who avoids every discomfort becomes mentally fragile. This is why small hardships are important. Cold mornings, discipline, patience, silence, loneliness, rejection. These experiences sharpen the mind. Every difficulty trains emotional endurance. And life will always test you. Not because the universe hates you, but because challenge is part of growth. A sword becomes strong through fire. Humans are no different. The problem is most people expect life to be permanently comfortable. So every inconvenience feels unfair. But Stoics expected difficulty. And because they expected it, they handled it better. Expectation shapes emotional reaction. If you expect life to always be easy, you suffer more. If you understand life includes struggle, you become resilient. This is why Stoics practiced negative visualization. They imagined loss, failure, hardship, not to become pessimistic, but to become mentally prepared. Preparation reduces panic, and panic destroys good decisions. Many people lose control because they are emotionally shocked by reality. Stoics trained themselves before hardship arrived, and preparation creates calmness. Imagine two sailors entering a storm. One has trained for years. One has not. The storm is the same, but their reactions are completely different. Life works the same way. Mental training matters. This is why daily discipline is powerful. Not motivation. Discipline. Motivation changes with mood. Discipline survives moods. Wake up. Train the mind. Control emotions. Focus on action. Ignore distractions. Simple habits. Repeated daily. That is how powerful minds are built. Not overnight. Slowly. Most people want instant transformation, but character is built quietly. Day by day. Choice by choice. Every moment you choose calmness over chaos, you become stronger. Every moment you choose discipline over impulse, you gain control. Every moment you refuse unnecessary drama, your mind becomes clearer. And eventually people notice something different about you. You no longer panic easily. You no longer chase attention desperately. You no longer react emotionally to everything. You become harder to manipulate, because emotionally reactive people are easy to control. Advertisers manipulate emotion. Social media manipulates emotion. Toxic people manipulate emotion. But calm minds are difficult to influence. This is why inner peace is a form of power. And perhaps one of the most dangerous habits today is comparison. People compare money, looks, success, relationships, followers. Constant comparison creates constant dissatisfaction. The Stoics warned against this, because when your happiness depends on being better than others, peace becomes impossible. There will always be someone richer, more attractive, more successful. Comparison is endless, and endless comparison destroys gratitude. A peaceful person focuses on self-improvement, not competition with everyone else. The Stoics believed happiness comes from alignment with your values, not public approval, not status, not temporary pleasure, but inner integrity. Can you respect yourself when alone? That matters more than applause from strangers, because external validation disappears quickly. Inner character remains, and many people spend years trying to impress others, while neglecting themselves internally. But eventually reality catches up. You cannot build a peaceful life on constant performance. Sooner or later, the mask becomes exhausting. Stoicism teaches authenticity, simplicity, self-respect, and perhaps the deepest Stoic truth is this: you do not control how long life lasts, only how wisely you live it. Many people waste years emotionally trapped in tiny problems, obsessing, complaining, arguing, seeking approval. Meanwhile, life quietly disappears. The Stoics constantly remembered death, not in a depressing way, but as a reminder to live intentionally, because awareness of mortality removes trivial worries. When you remember life is temporary, small dramas lose importance. Suddenly, ego matters less. Petty arguments matter less. Unnecessary stress matters less. You begin protecting your peace more carefully. You become more selective about where your energy goes. And this changes everything. The Stoic does not try controlling the entire world. They focus on controlling their thoughts, their actions, their reactions, their character. That is enough. And ironically, so if your mind feels exhausted, if overthinking is stealing your peace, if emotions constantly pull you in every direction, remember this: not everything deserves your attention. Not every opinion matters. Not every thought deserves belief. Not every battle deserves fighting. Sometimes strength is silence. Sometimes power is detachment. Sometimes wisdom is simply letting go. Care less about what cannot be controlled. Think less about imaginary problems. Control more of your own mind, because true freedom begins the moment your inner peace stops depending on the outside world.